in a culture where we do see that men typically are the ones to make the first move and make those advances, it's a challenging time where men are, as you were just talking about, have this message of, we are no longer okay, if we ever were, but we're kind of much more now vocally okay with people, men not being predators. And what I see a lot of is good men in such a kind of like, I can't possibly act in a predatory fashion, that it becomes hard for them to act in the ways that you're talking about, again, totally unpredatory, but making that first move, starting to show that interest. I've got a teenage son, and we talk a lot about these kind of things that are happening in his own life and with his friends, where they're really like, now, like, what is okay? Is it okay for me to approach a girl? And if so, is it okay in this situation? And there's a lot of, and it's a good thing in some ways that they're talking about this, but I think there's also this like, it's kind of renders them a little bit impotent, excuse the pun, because it's like, for fear of being predators, they're not sure what's okay to do.
What a question. What a question. This is an area of huge difficulty for men all over. I think the difficulty men have is, how do they approach and enter this realm without being predatory about it? And how do they know when they're being clean and clear? The first thing to do, and the way I work, is that men need to know this energy inside themselves, inside out, in order to be
Mm,
aware of what they're coming from. And the thing is about this side of us is that men, if they are approaching someone, or wish to bring themselves forward, then the thing to do is check their heart and check their feelings. The thing about predator, it's very cold. A man in a very predatory way might want to um, approach a woman and pretend he's beautiful and loving and heartful, but actually, all he really wants is to get her in bed, and he wants sex with her, and actually, he hasn't really got any feelings for her at all. All he's aiming to do is try and get his agenda, his sexual agenda met, in a way that might not be right for her, that might not have permission from her, that might not be led forward by her. Because whilst the man, and his job to approach someone, it's also his job to really carefully watch out for the signals and make sure that he is following someone who wants him to follow them. If
mm,
he's pushing forwards regardless and looking to seek his own agenda, and very much is single-minded about wanting to have sex or to conquest or those sort of things, then he's starting to get into grey and a darker territory. And definitely, if a man's coming towards a woman without love in his heart, then it's more likely to be coming forward in a predatorial way.
mm. Beautiful. It Listening to you, I just had that moment of like, gosh, this is something I really wish boys and young men could hear what we're talking about here, because there isn't anything really to replace that invitation that you just made to kind of really check in. Am I coming from my heart? There isn't really anything else that's going to replace that. And yet it's not really something that's being spoken about.
Mm.
I was also taking a moment, as you were talking, to reflect on how predatory our culture can be in relationship to women, where again, young boys and men are often immersed in this kind of like almost like this water they're swimming in is one of this sort of predatory gaze towards women, predatory messaging around women. Um, I would love to hear you talk a bit about this, because I think there is something quite conscious needed for men to recognize that kind of without and within, in order to, as you say, kind of really meet them. It requires a willingness to do that,
Mm.
and to see this clearly. But I would love to hear you talk a bit about that kind of more collective predatory aspect.
Yeah, the difficulty we've got about the collective predatory aspect is that mostly our society says, no, this isn't okay. You can't behave like this. You can't do this. And so the predator aspect stays underground. And when it comes to the surface and is seen and is acted out, then that's punished by our society. And people who do that generally end up in jail. The difficulty we've got is where either our culture or the overall government gives permission to this and says it's okay. So
Mm,
how does our government do that? Well, for instance, if we've got a racist government, it's all about placing someone else as an other and saying, oh, it's okay to discriminate against them, it's okay to hurt them, it's okay to punish them. With the Nazi regime in the Second World War, the Jews were made as the other, and everyone in society was given license to predate on them,
mm,
beat them up, spit on them, haul them off to camps, various things like that. I, I I worry at the moment with the rise in the right wing, for instance, with this obsession with immigrants. People are outed and say, well, they're not good, they're not part of us, and we can predate on them. We can do bad things to them where
mm,
our government allows. The recent huge advance for women recently is that this side of men and this way of behaving has been brought to the surface, and mostly the world has said it's not okay. And yet, the difficulty is you've got leaders in somewhere like the States who are behaving predatorily in the way they behave, and particularly in their treatment with women, maybe in the past, or who knows what's going on now. And that signal, even if it's not openly said that it's okay, that signal gives permission to other parts of the population who go, well, if they're doing it, that means it's okay and we're allowed to do it. And so I can get on and do these horrible things to people around me because I'm not going to get in trouble, and I've kind of got the message it's okay. So it's
mm,
it's ultra important. For instance, the Me Too movement, all of these Black Lives Matter, these are so important to lift groups and say it's not okay to predate. It's not okay to predate on women. It's not okay to predate on people of color. It's not okay for your predator to be unleashed and to be brought out into the world in a way that can be hugely damaging.
mm. There's it occurs to me there's almost like a dehumanization needed to be able to see someone as prey, where they no longer are a fellow human being, they become something else. And that's required for the predator to be able to act as the predator.
Dehumanization's massive. Yeah, we're told one group are like animals or they're less than or something like that. Then that opens the door to predation. Really, predators need to see others as other to be able to do a lot of damage to them. But in all honesty, that's not always the case. If you think about lots of sexual abuse happens in families, various things like that. Sexual abuse is pure and utter predation. It's finding someone who's weaker or smaller, who can't fully defend themselves, who doesn't really understand what's happening to them, and it's abusing them in a way where they are told that they have to hide it, they have to hide the lies, have to hide the secrets. They are coerced and told that they are the bad ones, that it's happening because they are bad. And so they're so filled with shame by the perpetrator that actually they coerced into silence. And that's why it takes some women so many years to come out into the open, to be able to step out of that coercive control, which stays around them, which is all pure predator.